Something is happening in Cleveland that nobody expected, and somehow the calmest person in the middle of all this chaos is the rookie who was supposed to crumble under pressure. While the Browns stumble from one disaster to another, receiver meltdowns, coaching confusion, locker room tension, Shadur Sanders is standing in the middle of it all, quietly doing something this franchise hasn't seen in decades, giving them hope. But the way his own teammates reacted, especially Jerry Judy, has turned this into something much bigger than football. The moment Judy snapped on Shadur, everything shifted. It wasn't just frustration, it was disrespect. On the sidelines, during plays, even jogging back to the huddle, Judy's energy told the entire world he wasn't rocking with this rookie quarterback. Fans noticed it instantly. His body language dipped, his effort dropped, and suddenly the guy who was supposed to be a reliable target looked like a distraction. And then Cam Newton stepped in like a sledgehammer. Cam didn't sugarcoat a thing. He said exactly what everyone else was too scared to say. Jerry Judy wasn't helping his quarterback, he was hurting him. When a former MVP calls you out publicly, that means the situation is real. And the crazy part? Judy didn't even deny it, because deep down, he knew Shadur wasn't the problem. The real issue is that Cleveland's offense is completely broken, and the rookie walked right into the middle of it. No WR1, no TE1, no consistent route running, no offensive identity. Nothing that even resembles the structure a rookie QB needs. Cam Newton compared this to rookies in the past, Dak Prescott, others, who at least had weapons, an offensive line, or a solid run game. Shadur has none of that. The Browns threw him into a burning building and said, "Good luck, kid." And despite all of that, he's the one keeping his cool. His second start didn't end with a win, but the score doesn't tell the real story. Shadur threw for 149 yards and a touchdown, but what matters more is how he survived a collapsing offensive line that got him sacked 3 times, forced him to escape pressure on almost every dropback, and put him in positions where most rookies would panic. Yet he kept his composure, even when his receivers weren't fighting for the ball, even when the timing was off, even when Judy's attitude made everything worse. Fans saw it, analysts saw it, opposing players saw it. Shadur wasn't losing control. The team around him was. And then came the move that confused everyone. Kevin Stefanski announced Shadur would be the starter again for Week 14. It sounded good on paper. It sounded like confidence. But the truth? It felt like Stefanski was pushing responsibility onto a rookie instead of fixing the problems around him. The same coach who gave Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco time, structure, and clear evaluations suddenly decides to let Shadur sink or swim in chaos. It made fans wonder, why does Shadur have to earn everything the hard way? Why didn't the offense have a real plan tailored for him? Why is the team calling plays as if they're afraid to fully trust him? Cam Newton didn't hold back. He slammed the Browns for not developing their young quarterback the way they should. He said if they were willing to give the other guys real opportunities, then Shadur deserved the same, not this half-hearted, unstable support system. And he's right. How can a rookie grow behind an offensive line that collapses every third play? How can he build chemistry with receivers who seem checked out? How can he learn if the coaching staff treats him like a placeholder instead of a long-term investment? These aren't small questions. They're the kind that decide a franchise's future. Cam pointed out that Shadur isn't just surviving, he's doing things the other quarterbacks didn't. He's making plays that look like the beginning of something special, those big boy plays that make analysts rewind the tape and say, wait, this kid's different, and it's true. In moments where everything was falling apart, Shadur created something out of nothing. He extended plays. He kept his eyes downfield. He made throws that veteran QBs on this roster haven't made in years. Cam said it himself, plays that Baker Mayfield didn't make in his last seasons here, plays that Deshaun Watson hasn't shown consistently, plays that Johnny Manziel and Joe Flacco wouldn't even attempt. That's when fans started realizing something. Shadur might actually be special. Not perfect, not polished, not fully developed, but special. And when a rookie shows that kind of spark in an environment this dysfunctional, people start asking a very uncomfortable question about the coaching staff. If this is what Shadur can do with no protection, no weapons, and no offensive identity, what would he look like with real support? What would he look like with a coach who built the offense around him? What would he look like if his receivers actually played like professionals instead of pointing fingers? That question only gets louder when you remember what everyone seems to forget. Shadur already made history. His NFL debut wasn't just a win. It broke a curse almost nobody believed would ever end. He became the first Browns quarterback since 1995 to win his first start. Think about that. This franchise has rolled through 42 quarterbacks since 1999. 42. More QBs than some teams have had coordinators. More QBs than some fans have had birthdays. And in that mess, Shadur walks in and does what nobody else could do in nearly 30 years. Win on day one. That wasn't luck. That wasn't a fluke. That was talent, poise, composure. And that same rookie who broke a historic streak is now being surrounded by players who can't get open, a line that can't protect him, and a coaching staff that seems scared to commit to the future. So now the real question begins bubbling up from fans, commentators, even players around the league. If Shadur is showing this much promise, why isn't Cleveland doing everything in their power to build around him? Why do the receivers look lost? Why does Jerry Judy look more frustrated than focused? Why does Stefanski look like he's calling plays he doesn't even believe in anymore? How much longer can the Browns keep pretending the roster is good enough when everyone can see it isn't? And how long before Shadur starts asking the same questions himself? The truth is, the Browns aren't just in danger of wasting a season. They're in danger of wasting a franchise quarterback before he even gets started. Cam Newton spelled it out with brutal honesty. Cleveland doesn't have the talent around Shadur to let him grow. There's no dominant tight end who can bail him out on tough downs. No receiver who commands respect from defenses. No reliable check-down option who can keep the chains moving. And the one guy who was supposed to be that weapon, Jerry Judy, has been busy showing frustration instead of leadership. It's the one thing no rookie quarterback needs, a teammate who makes the situation worse. But what makes this even more painful is that Shadur doesn't act like a rookie. He isn't rattled. He isn't breaking down. He isn't pointing fingers. He's doing everything the right way, carrying himself with the kind of confidence you normally see in quarterbacks who've been in the league for 5 or 6 years. Yet he's the one expected to compensate for everyone else's flaws. There's a moment fans keep mentioning. A play where Shadur rolled out, avoided pressure, threw a dart across his body that looked impossible, and Cam Newton immediately said, "That's a big boy play." That wasn't hype. That was a former MVP recognizing something real. Plays like that don't come from luck. They come from instinct, IQ, and pure talent. And when a rookie makes that kind of play while everything around him is collapsing, you have to stop and ask what he could become with an actual NFL-level offense. Cleveland hasn't had that kind of player at quarterback, maybe ever. Not in the last 10 years, not in the last 20, maybe not in the history of the franchise. And instead of treating him like the future, the team feels like it's asking him to survive, not thrive. That's why Cam's criticism of Stefanski hit the way it did, because he wasn't attacking Shadur, he was defending him. He was defending a young quarterback who's being forced to learn the hardest way possible. He was defending a kid who walked into a dysfunctional situation and still managed to give Cleveland something it hasn't had since Bill Clinton was in office, a rookie quarterback who wins. Stefanski naming Shadur the Week 14 starter didn't fix anything. It only highlighted how messy the situation is. Because if you're going to hand the kid the keys, you better give him horsepower, not a broken down offense running on fumes. But here's where things get even more interesting. Behind the scenes, there are whispers, not accusations, just whispers, that the wide receiver room isn't fully sold on Shadur yet. Not because of his talent, but because they didn't expect the rookie to take the spotlight this fast. When veterans feel threatened by a rookie's rise, tension follows. Judy's attitude didn't come out of nowhere. Fans saw it. Analysts caught it. Even players on the opposing sideline were pointing it out. And when your WR1 has ego issues, the rest of the room feels that energy. But Shadur doesn't fire back. He doesn't clap back on social media. He doesn't show frustration in interviews. He stays cool. And that's exactly why this situation feels so upside down. The rookie is acting like the veteran, and the veterans are acting like the rookies. Meanwhile, the numbers don't lie. Shadur is getting pressured at one of the highest rates in the league. His receivers are near the bottom in separation. The offensive line is collapsing faster than any top 15 team in the NFL. And yet Shadur is still keeping the Browns competitive longer than they deserve to be. That's why fans aren't blaming him. They're blaming the pieces around him. And they're starting to wonder if Stefanski is the right coach to guide his development. This team has a track record of mishandling quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield fizzled out under chaos. Deshaun Watson hasn't lived up to expectations. Johnny Manziel crumbled. Joe Flacco was a band-aid, and now they finally have a quarterback with real upside, but no real support. The history is too familiar. Talent comes in, coaching falls short, and careers fade. Cleveland has been through this story so many times that fans are almost conditioned to expect disappointment. But Shadur feels different. He plays different. He carries himself differently. He's showing flashes that scream franchise quarterback. But potential doesn't develop on its own. Potential doesn't protect itself. Potential needs structure, weapons, coaching, belief. And right now, Shadur is getting belief from the fans, but not the support he needs from the playbook or the players wearing the same jersey as him. The irony, Shadur's biggest supporters aren't even in the building. They're former players, analysts, and fans who are watching this situation unfold and saying the same thing. If Cleveland doesn't figure this out, this kid is going to shine somewhere else. Because make no mistake, if the Browns don't fix their offense, if they don't hold receivers accountable, if they don't invest in talent, Shadur's career won't stall. It will simply continue somewhere that gives him the respect and weapons he deserves. And Cleveland will once again be the franchise that let a star slip away. But it doesn't have to go that way. Not yet. Not if Stefanski wakes up and realizes what's in front of him. Not if the front office decides to build instead of patch. Not if the receivers buy in and start playing like pros instead of pretending every mistake is someone else's problem. The Browns have a decision to make, and it needs to happen fast. Commit to Shadur Sanders and build around him, or watch history repeat itself for the 43rd time. Because this time, the rookie isn't the issue. This time, the rookie is the solution waiting to be unlocked. And Cleveland better unlock it before someone else does.